Hi, you're watching Sahara TV. It's Saturday, December 12th, 2011. It's time for AfriCurrent. This is the part of the show when we give you a snapshot on what's happening in Africa. My name is Chika Oduah. Keep watching for this week's major stories out of Africa. We start today with news from Tunisia, where a former human rights activist has been pronounced as the country's new president. Monsef Marzouki is his name, and he spent about 20 years in exile in Paris before returning to Tunisia. He said he is ready to step down as president if the country does not improve in the next 6 months. During a recent interview on state television, Marzouki said, "After this period, you can hold us accountable, and I am ready to resign if the situation has not changed." Perhaps a more democratic change really is in store for Tunisia with the election of Marzouki as the new president. Marzouki was imprisoned for his opposition to the former government of the now deposed Ben Ali. He will serve for 1 year until the constitution is rewritten and new elections are held. Further down on the continent, one presidential election has been facing increasing scrutiny because observers say there was a lack of credibility. I'm referring to the election results from the Democratic Republic of the Congo, where incumbent President Joseph Kabila was pronounced as the winner. The U.S.-based Carter Center observers have expressed doubts over the results of the presidential election. Even Kabila himself say there were a few mistakes. Take a look at this report from Al Jazeera.
We wanted to organize perfect elections. Did we attain that perfection? Not 100%. Were there mistakes, errors? Definitely. Definitely, like in any other election, be it on the continent or otherwise. But does it put in doubt the credibility of the elections? I don't think so.
But election observers point out that in some polling stations in Kabila's strongholds, there was 100% turnout, if not more, both either extremely unusual or statistically impossible.
Following the disputed elections, violence broke out in parts of the country, and reports claim that at least 18 people have died since Kabila's victory was announced. That's why the government banned text messages more than a week ago in an effort to preserve what they call public order. But deaf people in the DRC are angry about the texting ban because they say they are no longer able to receive warnings of violence via text message. They also say that they find it hard to communicate with the new ban. The Interior Minister said he was told to suspend all mobile phone text messages services because they had supposedly been used to incite violence and ethnic tensions. Tensions between Al-Shabaab and the Kenyan National Army were on blast on Twitter last week. Al-Shabaab militants began tweeting on December 7th, and the account, it already has about almost 4,000 followers. On December 12th, Al-Shabaab posted this comment on Twitter directed to Somali Kenyans. "Recall the Wagala Garissa massacres as Kenya celebrates. These barbarous acts epitomize Kenya's stance toward your people." An earlier tweet from Al-Shabaab directly to the Kenyan military spokesman's Twitter account says this: "Assets are worthless without men. Your inexperienced boys flee from confrontation and flinch in the face of death." Kenya's military spokesman is not keeping silent. He tweeted his own message to Al-Shabaab. He said, "Time is up to surrender. Flee from Somalia. You have no plans for Somalia people." And here's another one. With Al-Shabaab joining Twitter, let's take the fight to their doorstep. And just how long will this altercation on the battlefield of Twitter go on? We'll keep you updated. Kenya's government has other things to worry about. like the strike, where thousands and thousands of doctors have been demanding better working conditions and a whopping 300% salary raise. Government representatives have been saying that they just can't afford to increase the wages of public workers because a large portion of government funds are already going to support the military in its fight against, you guessed it, Al-Shabaab. But the strike may finally be over. Doctors have passed a resolution to call it off. With doctors not coming back to work, about 8 deaths have been reported at local hospitals. Take a look at this story from Kenya's NTV.
After calling off the strike only to resume it the next day, the doctors are finally unanimous. It is time to go back to work. The doctors' strike had paralyzed the medical operation in public hospitals and caused at least 3 deaths at Coast General Hospital, 5 in Kakamega Hospital, and 1 at a bus stop in Ngong. Most public hospitals had been forced to scale down their outpatient services as Kenyatta National Hospital relied solely on consultants.
You may have heard about the climate talks that took place in Durban, South Africa recently. Experts and government reps struck a deal to guarantee the future of the now famous 1997 Kyoto Protocol to take a stand against global warming and other environmental dangers. But many NGOs and activists oppose the deal and say it does not do quite enough to combat climate change. They say negotiators have succumbed to the interests of large companies who are perceived to contribute to the global pollution. Nigerian environmentalist Nemo Bassi has spoken out against the outcome of the climate change talks. He says that Africa will suffer. Watch this.
This is one of the most alarming outcomes of all these discussions because policymakers appear not to understand the severity of the climate crisis. They are, rather than taking action or agreeing to take action, stepping back and preparing to have years of inaction where they will continue polluting and then the rest of the world will continue suffering. We see a situation coming up where Africa will literally be cooked and fried and roasted, and where we're going to experience major climate incidents.
For a long time, Nemo Bassi has been a vocal campaigner for the environment, especially in Nigeria, where the country is dealing with high levels of carbon monoxide. And just where is most of the carbon monoxide in Nigeria coming from? From those ubiquitous generators, of course. Take a look at this report from Voice of America.
Small-scale business owners use engines that also emit high levels of carbon monoxide for power generation. It is late in the evening and Sherifat Abubakar has been selling mobile phone accessories all day with the aid of this small generator. Her baby is strapped to her back as she works.
So what about the smoke that comes from it all the time and you have children around? It's very dangerous. People are even telling me that this smoke is dangerous to woman being, to woman head. So, and I can see a baby on your back right now. Look at him, he's crying. I don't want to leave him here because of the smoke. I have to be carrying that back. Look at all those things. It's just suffering. Once happens, just manage, you know? We need to survive, that is it.
Viewers, it's time for the number of the day. Today's number is 167 million. That's 167 million. Don't forget 167 million. That's how much money in US dollars that the government of Israel is willing to spend to curb the flow of African migrants. Okay, think about the map of Africa and the Middle East. You've got Israel right here, then Egypt over there. Africans like Sudanese and Eritreans cross through Egypt to Israel, and that's what the Israeli government is trying to control. You know how a lot of right-wing Americans propose for an electric fence along the US-Mexico border to keep out the so-called illegals? Well, the Israeli government isn't talking about offense, at least not just yet, but the $167 million plan that has already been approved is to deal with migrants who sometimes end up staying in the country without government-issued documents. Finally, I leave you with a historical fact. This week in African history, in 1963, Kenya won its independence from the United Kingdom on December 12th. The country has a lot to be proud of, with national figures such as Jomo Kenyatta and Dedan Kimathi and Wangari Maathai. But the 2007-2008 post-election violence, which claimed the lives of hundreds, was certainly a setback for the country. In its 48th year of independence from colonial powers, Kenyans have a lot to ponder.
12th December 1964. On this day, Kenyans raised one flag in their hearts, the flag that marked the birth of a new republic.
It is all too easy for the innocent to suffer.
Kenya had attained full independence from colonialists and embarked on an independent journey under first President Mzee Jomo Kenyatta.
I'm Chika Oduah. If you want, you can also follow me on Twitter at Chika Oduah. And don't forget to check out Sahara Reporters on Twitter as well. We've got plenty more segments coming up for you on Sahara TV, so stay with us.